In a world full of sorcerers with crazy abilities and domains, Toji is someone different. Someone that is an anomaly in the Jujutsu world. He doesn't rely on Jujutsu sorcery for power, no cursed energy, no cursed technique, no domains. He relies on his heavenly restricted body that gives him immense physical prowess. The question I want to take a look at today is, how much power does that grant him, and would it be enough to overpower each special grade disaster curse? Despite not having cursed energy, Toji is capable of contending with and surpassing special grade sorcerers, as we see him do this very thing in the hidden inventory arc. He does this while being rusty and out of practice. He mercilessly beats down two of the strongest special grades in the world at the time, Gojo and Geto. He does this with his incredible physical prowess from his heavenly restricted body that gives him immense speed and strength, and some additional tools that he stores inside his inventory curse. This inventory curse is something he ingests and spits up when in combat, and it gives him access to a wide arsenal of tools, one of which being the inverted spear of heaven, which allows him to bypass cursed techniques. Even Gojo's infinity can't protect him from this spear. He also has access to the chain of 1,000 miles, a chain that erects from the mouth of his inventory curse that can extend forever as long as one side of the chain is hidden from view. And his final main tool is his split soul katana that allows him to cut the soul directly, effectively allowing him to bypass the durability of anything he cuts and deal direct damage. With this array of cursed tools and his heavenly restricted body, he's one of the strongest characters we've seen in the series, and at the peak of his power was even implied to be able to kill the entirety of the Zenin clan with ease, stated only allowing them to live on a personal whim. Part of this clan was the fastest sorcerer known to the Jujutsu world that wasn't named Gojo. This man was Mahito Zenin, someone that actually fought one of the disaster curses, the same disaster curse Toji did as well, only for Mahito to get massively outperformed by Toji in both speed and abilities, which makes the previous statement about him being over the entire Zenin clan pretty consistent, and would make Toji one of, if not the fastest sorcerers not named Satoru Gojo, even among the modern era of sorcerers. Because of how fast Toji is, it creates a really tough matchup for all the disaster curses, and once you add in his hacks abilities like his split soul katana and inverted spear of heaven, you pretty much get an unstoppable physical force. One last thing to mention is Toji is immune to targeting of domain expansion since he has no cursed energy. The domain can't actually target him, and it sees him as any other inanimate object. Now, he can voluntarily enter a domain, but he probably has no reason to most of the time. Now, he did enter Dagon's domain willingly, but he was kind of bloodlusted there, and the point of this video is really to compare the power and abilities of Toji to the others. So if you want to argue that one of the disaster curses could win because he entered their domain, even though he has the ability to avoid it, that's kind of missing the point of the video. It's more of a power scaling video. So how would each of the disaster curses even fight Toji? We have one answer already, as Dagon already fought Toji, and Dagon was receiving a passive stat boost from just being inside his domain. Gojo describes this as a buff like in a video game that should increase all of Dagon's stats. And this amped Dagon was blitzed and exercised pretty easily by Toji, and this Toji didn't have access to his inventory curse or any of the tools I discussed earlier. I don't really have much else to say about this one since we saw it happen, so I'll just move on. Hanami, despite having really good durability and some unique hacks like his cursed bud technique, probably won't be able to keep up with Toji's speed either. He was getting tagged by Yuji alone, and even though he was holding back, he or she themselves say that Itadori's speed is impressive. With the use of Boogie Woogie, Todo and Itadori are more so able to maintain relative speeds to Hanami, or just outright outspeed him or her for the remainder of the fight. Now, I don't think this will be a contentious statement, but if Goodwill, Yuji, and Todo can keep up with Hanami in speed, even if they are slightly inferior to Hanami, Toji should still be massively faster than this level. Heck, even Goodwill Maki, who's slower than First Awakening Maki, who's slower than Second Awakening Maki, who's the Maki that was stated to be equal to Toji, was able to briefly keep pace with Hanami. So if you really start to think about it, the speed gap should be pretty immense. Something else of note is Jogo says himself in a volume extra that he is faster than Hanami. I mean, he doesn't really say he's faster, he just says he wouldn't get hit by the attacks of Yuji and Todo. kind of implying that he's faster than Hanami. And Naobito's speed is compared to Jogo's by Dagon. And Toji should be relative or above Naobito and additionally the entire Zenin clan at the same time, let alone just Naobito, who's faster, or if you're generous, relative to Jogo, who, like we said, is faster than Hanami. It's pretty consistent that by multiple levels, Toji is just faster than Hanami. Given all this information, I find it very unlikely Hanami will even be able to perceive Toji and might just get perception blitzed outright. Toji has a split soul katana to rip Hanami to shreds, and that would be the end of that. If you want some additional narrative context or explanation, Toji and Maki are equals later on in the series when Maki awakens, and Kenjaku kind of compares Yuta, Hikari, and Maki to one another as the Jujutsu Big Three. Now, I know Kenjaku has a lot of questionable power scaling statements that he makes, and I'll dive into that later, but I think this one holds some credence since they all have feats or statements to reaffirm this position. Now, I'm not saying this statement implies they're all equals or the same level exactly, but maybe that they're just in the same weight class. And if you do take this statement seriously, it's hard to argue that Hanami is anywhere close to the levels of Hikari or, God forbid, even worth mentioning in the same sentence as Yuta. Something else that may hurt not only Hanami, but the other disaster curses as well, is the fact that they may not know that their domain won't work on Toji, and thus they would waste a ton of cursed energy and potentially get caught off guard if they do open their domain. But if Toji does decide to enter it, he might be able to catch them off guard, similar to how Maki does to Naoya. And even if they did get a stat boost, we saw Toji really was badly beating one of the disaster curses with a stat boost in their domain. But if I'm being honest, if Toji's not massively more powerful than them and he's more relative to any of these characters, I don't think it's likely that he would want to enter the domain of any of these fighters. Now, for one character that I think will be the most contentious to talk about is Jogo. First off, I want to address the entire Sukuna finger thing because there's a lot of contention here about this statement. Toji is directly compared to 3-finger Sukuna in terms of speed by Megami, and Jogo, according to Kenjaku, is about 8 or 9 Sukuna fingers in strength. A lot of people have used this to say, well, Toji's just not near as strong or fast as Jogo, and is actually 3 times weaker. But there's an extremely plausible case that this statement regarding Jogo is just wrong, or only pertaining to cursed energy volume, not speed. The reason for this, because like I mentioned earlier, Dagon, when fighting Naobito, thinks it's more than likely that Naobito is faster than Jogo, meaning there's a greater than 50% chance that Naobito is faster than Jogo. Even if you want to lowball it and say Jogo and Naobito are relative in speed, Toji, like we said earlier, should be able to fight Naobito and the rest of the entire Zenin clan at the same time. Kenjaku's statement almost has to be referring to only cursed energy, because if it wasn't, that would mean Naobito, who should be relative to Jogo in speed or faster, is the same speed as 8-finger Sukuna, or in the same realm, which as a grade 1 sorcerer just doesn't really make sense. And if you get into feats, it makes it even more consistent because Toji's blitzing and amped Dagon and just outperforming Naobito completely. So it's a lot more consistent for the statement to be pertaining to cursed energy. It is also worth mentioning Kenjaku probably doesn't know the full extent of Sukuna's power, and he was also being generous in the statement. Almost everything about the statement can be deconstructed and given additional context, so I think it's safe to say Jogo is not 8 or 9 fingers strong. It's a lot more consistent for Toji to be above Jogo in speed and maybe even overall capabilities because of his lore implications as well. Once again, being compared to Maki, Hikari, and Yuta, who dwarf most of the series, and how he could have wiped out the entire clan, whose strongest member was around Jogo's level and speed. And because of Jogo's lower durability, he likely won't last long once Toji actually gets his hands on him. If Jogo pulls out his domain, Toji can just dip out, and yes, Jogo might have some abilities like Maximum Meteor that certainly could be a win condition, but a lot of characters have win conditions against stronger characters, but if you're not fast enough to pull off your conditions, it's kind of a moot point. Now, Mahito usually is a difficult character to pit people up against because of his soul abilities, but unfortunately for him, Toji is an extremely hard counter to him. In case you forgot, Mahito doesn't take damage unless you damage his soul because of his idle transfiguration curse technique. Toji has not one, but 2 weapons that can outright counter this ability. He has the inverted spear of heaven, which when stabbing Mahito would negate his idle transfiguration and damage him directly, or his split soul katana, which, as the name implies, would cut directly through Mahito's soul. Now I know what you're thinking, how will Toji get close? Because if he gets touched by Mahito, his soul is going to get reshaped and he's going to die. Well, in his fight against Gojo, Toji was shown to keep his distance and fight with the chain of 1,000 miles, and attach his weapon to it. Using this strategy, he could keep a distance from Mahito and cut him up with either the split soul katana or the inverted spear of heaven. And Toji's more than likely not going to die to the first Mahito touch. If Mahito is able to get his hands on Toji, I don't think he's going to be able to outright kill him. Because of the speed implications of Toji, at worst the contact would be extremely brief, which would leave him with only minor injuries, or at worst for Toji, a lost hand or something. We saw earlier in the series he wasn't able to damage Nanami greatly for a brief instance, and you might be able to say someone of Toji's caliber, who should have enhanced physical prowess because of his heavenly restriction, might have a greater resistance to Mahito's abilities. Finally, even if Mahito is able to greatly damage Toji, Toji might not operate in the same manner as a normal character with a normal soul. The reason I say this is in Shibuya, when he is summoned by the Granny's seance technique, only Toji's body is summoned, not his soul. However, because of his heavenly restriction, his body was able to overpower the soul, and he went on to operate at full capacity without a soul. Given this information, even if Mahito was able to touch and transfigure Toji's soul, Toji may not even be affected and may be able to operate fine because he's done it before. And by the way, all this is under the assumption that Mahito would be able to even keep pace with Toji, and sadly there's almost no speed implications or feats that paint Mahito as being on this level. Yuji at this point really isn't comparable to Toji in speed at all, and doesn't really become relevant to that tier until much later when fighting Sukuna, and even then he's still lagging behind Maki a little bit. He's still fighting pretty relatively speed-wise with Yuji, who's definitely a demon in CQC, but who's definitely not special grade plus levels of speed at this point that Toji exerts. And given how many counters Toji has to every single one of Mahito's abilities, such as multiple tools that negate Mahito's idle transfiguration, his ability to keep distance with the chain of 1,000 miles, Toji's soul likely being too strong to even damage from brief contact, or just being outright immune to idle transfiguration, and being immune to Mahito's domain, Toji's one of the worst matchups that Mahito would possibly encounter. Once again, I would say technically Toji has certain lose conditions if he enters any of their domains because he gets Tsukaki or something, but the point of this video is to more show the gaps in power between Toji and the disaster curses. I think Toji, and by extension Maki, in addition to Hikari and Yuta, are just presented to be characters that surpass the levels of special grade. So even strong special grade curses in the series that would cause trouble for a lot of other combatants start to look massively inferior and weak to these characters. Kenjaku, who admittedly doesn't have the greatest track record with power scaling, seems to be scared of Maki and Yuta in recent chapters as well, and by extension maybe even Hikari if you think Hikari surpasses Yuta when he's on a roll, via Yuta's own statement. Consistently, these characters surpass special grade levels, and Toji's specific ability to neg domains, the pinnacle of Jujutsu sorcery, in addition to having incredible physical stats and durability, and his wide array of hacks like his cursed tools make him trouble for nearly the entire verse. Now, I did get a comment on my last video about a really cool outro idea